With the recent release of Into the Light on April 9th, I've had some time to gather my thoughts on Onslaught itself, as well as brave weapons and new exotic mission being the Whisper mission, as well as other stuff that is currently time gated. Starting with the Hall of Champions. The Hall of Champions is a new social space that was introduced with Into the Light. It is an area to pick up bounties, attune new brave weapons, unlock new brave weapons, or just chill out after a long run of Legend Onslaught. Anyways, it's a cool social space. Sadly, there's no Postmaster or Vault here. It's also kind of similar to the Azur's Treasure Hoard from the 30th anniversary. Moving on to Onslaught. Onslaught is a new PvE 50-wave horde mode to where you defend an area of the map called an Advanced Defense Unit, to where you can buy defenses or upgrade defenses against escalating waves of enemies. Adds will attack to ADU, but luckily enemies will drop ADU health batteries upon defeat, to where you can just throw in the air and it will magnetize the ADU, healing it in the process. Onslaught contains 3 maps in the form of Midtown, Moth Yards, and Vostok, and contains 2 different enemy races, them being Hive and Fallen. I will be talking about both the normal difficulty as well as the legend difficulty. My favorite to least favorite map is Vostok, then Midtown, then Moth Yards, simply because it all comes down to pacing. The Moth Yards are gigantic and enemies are so spread out and spawn in so slowly that it would simply get bored through parts of this map until the later rounds, especially on legend difficulty. Midtown was fun simply because it's more condensed, but if a tormentor spawns in on Midtown, then it can be rough. And Vostok, I think it's a good amount of openness while still being able to pop off with either a Strand Titan or even a Hark Hunter. But there's definitely build testing potential with this mode. Now Legend mode is by far my most favorite version of Onslaught, while the only difference really between Legend and normal mode is that in normal mode you get 2 loot chests instead of 1 on every boss wave, and you get 3 loot chests instead of 2 on every 50 wave completion. The Extinguish modifier now starts at wave 1 instead of wave 31, a weekly boss at wave 50, and maybe some increased champion spawns, as well as an increased activity difficulty, setting your power 10 below while decreasing 5 power after each wave set. Moving on to the loot. I have never been as excited for a random loot drop in quite a while, but with Into the Light I've been as excited for a random loot drop simply because of the introduction to holofoils, aka the shiny weapons. For veteran players like myself, as well as many others I'm sure, the people have everything or almost everything. If a hung jury drops or even a succession drops, most people would not be excited since they're either still in the game or out of the loot rotation. But if I see a shiny weapon drop, I get excited simply for the fact that these weapons are extremely rare. They are so much more rare than I first thought they would be. I've only actually acquired 2 in the total of 26 hours now I've been playing this activity. They are so rare that I'm kind of on the side that they are very rare, and only like having a 0.1% chance of dropping. But I don't mind that simply for the fact that it makes them more special to acquire, even if they are mostly cosmetic. But they do roll double perks, so I guess they're kind of worth the grind. Exotic missions. Within the Light, Bungie released the Whisper of the Worm exotic mission, which is still as fun, if not slightly better, than the original. But overall it's almost, if not as identical to the original mission, although you can spawn the final 3 bosses in order instead of them all 3 spawning in like the old days. And the introduction of a new boss within the mission, plus the addition of oracles for the exotic ship Narva of the Worm. And also we will be getting the other exotic mission, 0 Hour, but sadly that mission is time getting until May 14th, which then Outbreak Perfected will be craftable, as well as the Rescurn scrapped CF-717 ship. Moving on to weapons. With Into the Light, we got 6 returning weapons with the release of the update, and 6 more are slated to release 2 per week for the next 3 weeks until April 30th. The 6 weapons we got with Into the Light are Elsie's Rifle, Recluse, Hung Jury, Edge Transit, Fallen Guillotine, and Succession. And these weapons are really good, while feeling new but still having that nostalgia feeling we all know and love. In order to get these brave weapons, you either have to play Onslaught and complete a boss wave. I'd recommend that you get a fire team together and do the first 10 waves of Legend Onslaught for the quickest and most efficient farm, especially with attunement being added recently, or gathering up a good amount of trophies of bravery and spinning them at the chest next to Shaxx. Now, in order to get the Super Black Shitter, you must not only max out your rank with Shaxx, but you also need to complete all Brave Weapon quests from our site in order to acquire this said shader. Now, the release weeks for each weapon set are as followed. Week 1, the 16th of April, we have Midnight Coop and Mountaintop. Week 2, the 23rd of April, we have Hammerhead and Forbearance. And the final week, Week 3, April 30th, we have Blast Furnace and Luna's Howl. With all that being said, those have been my overall first impressions and thoughts. If you have enjoyed this first impressions and breakdown, then a like rating would be greatly appreciated. And while you're at it, feel free to subscribe, as I'd love to have you. I know this video was on the shorter side of things. I am currently in the process of working on 2 longer videos, being my end of the year review for Lightfall, as well as my season 23 end review. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, the best guys, later.